Hi everyone, good afternoon. Trust you're good. Trust your day was great. So today we'll be talking about requirement analysis and process modeling. We have been having this discussion, these classes for a while, and if you have any questions, you can always reach out. But without waiting so much of our time, let's just go on with what exactly we have for the day. Do not forget when you join us, please leave a comment so that we know that you are here. Firstly, what is requirement analysis and process modeling? Analysis of specifying and modeling requirements is a pivotal component of business analysis that focuses on transforming the raw data gathered during requirement elicitation into structured, actionable output. This process clarifies what organization needs and sets the stage for designing solutions that addresses those needs. Here's a detailed explanation of what this activity includes. An overview of what specifying and modeling requirement is as one purpose. The primary goal for specifying and modeling requirement is to analyze, synthesize, and refine the results acquired from requirement elicitation. This ensures that requirements are clear, they are comprehensive, and they are aligned with the organization's objective. The outputs of these activities can be categorized into two main types. One, we have requirements that focus on understanding the organization needs and detailing what the stakeholders expect from a particular process. And then we have designs. Designs provide solutions to meet the identified needs, outlining how the requirements would be implemented in practice. The output of specifying and modeling requirements. First, we already said that the statements that describe what a system should do and coordinate its what must be met is what we call requirements. It can be categorized into various types, which is fundamental and non-fundamental. Fundamental requirements specify the behavior and functions of the system, while non-functional and non-functional. Non-functional requirements describe the quality attribute of the system. Functional attribute defines the specific behavior of the system, while non-functional attributes describes the quality of the attribute of the system. The primary goal of specifying and modeling requirements is to analyze, synthesize, and refine their obtained results from. The process of specifying and modeling requirements involves breaking down the gathered requirements into smaller and manageable components. To facilitate a deeper understanding, key activities including identifying elements for change, recognizing stability, detecting gaps, eliminating redundant components, and assessing constraints. Business analysts must effectively represent and identify requirements and their attributes through documentation, modeling techniques, and the level of abstraction. Analyzing requirements involves breaking down of gathered requirements into smaller manageable components. I think I've mentioned that before. And the key activities include identifying the elements for change, recognizing stability, detecting gaps, eliminating redundancy, and assessing constraints. With more, like if you read further on the document, you'll be able to get clearer understanding of what exactly these key component means. Representing requirements and attributes. involves documenting and identifying requirements in a structured manner. This ensures that all stakeholders have a clear understanding of what is needed and how these needs are met. Simply means that whatever it is you do, you have a plan. You have a plan, and the plan are quite clear and readable by your stakeholders that are involved in these projects that you are planning. Key requirements of specifying and modeling. One of the key requirements are the model requirements, and type of models includes diagrams, metrics, prototypes, etc. These are the type of modules you use to describe an idea. Just like when you're doing project management and you're trying to put the entire idea into a document for people who have stakes in the project to understand the procedures that are involved and exactly what stage you would be per time. You would need to use like modeling systems, and these modeling systems can either be flowcharts, can either be diagrams, can either be metrics or prototypes. Analyzing requirements involves the breaking down of data, like we have already mentioned, and the steps involved in this elements include decomposition. Decomposition is the breakdown of complex requirements into smaller and understandable parts. This process allows for a detailed examination for each component. Example of this are elements must change, like requirements that needs modification to meet business objective. Elements that should remain the same, like all of the things that are needed for you to properly analyze your requirements and break them into manageable components. One of them is that the elements must be able to change. The elements should be able to remain the same. The missing component, unnecessary component, and constraint or assumption. You should be able to identify all of this in your given data. If you're trying to plan a project, all of this should be able to be identified when your stakeholders see the particular projects that you are planning. Importance of clear representation. Another clear representation of requirements and their attributes are essential for effective communication, alignment with business goals, facilitation development. Now, if I want to tell somebody to handle a particular project, the only way I can assure myself and the other person that this particular project is going to be carried out without hinge and seamless is if we have been able to establish a very effective communication. So, and the only way that we can communicate clearly is when I state everything I want to do and it is clear and understandable. So, effective and clear communication is really important, which is one of the importance of clear representation of your idea or of your project management representation. Now, it has to align with business goals. When you're representing your data, it needs to align with business goals, which is the major thing you should do when you are trying to even plan a project. If you're giving a project, when you are creating KPIs and SLAs, the project has to align with the organization goals. The document has to align with the strategic objectives of the organization. The next one is facilitating development, providing developers and designers with a clear understanding of what needs to be built, reducing the risk of errors and rework. So, for instance, the major reason why most people that work in the architecture structure or in constructions or do interior designing The reason why they put the idea first on paper before they bring it to life is because on paper they will be able to plan contingency. Okay, this idea, does it help in development? Okay, with this idea on paper, I can see what needs to be changed and what it does not before you start building, which reduces the risks of reworks and errors. Analyzing requirements involves breaking down of gathered information into smaller manageable components, and I think we have already mentioned this before. Now we'll go to use case and user stories. Now, use cases and user stories are essential techniques in requirements gathering and analysis, particularly in the field of business analysis and software development. Both serves to articulate functional requirements, but do so in different ways and are suited to different contexts. Here is a detailed explanation of each. 1. Use cases. Use cases are detailed description that capture functional requirements by outlining how users, referred to as actors, interact with a system to achieve a specific goal. They provide a structural way to document the interaction between user and the system, focusing on the outcome of these interactions. Benefit of use cases. Comprehensive understanding. Use cases provide a detailed view of system functionality, helping stakeholders understand how the system would be used in a real-world scenario. And focus on user goals. By emphasizing the goals of the actor, use cases ensure that the system is designed with user needs in mind. It also facilitates testing. Use cases can be used as a basis for developing test cases, ensuring that all functional requirements are covered during testing. Now, use cases can be, or you created a scenario that you wanted to work with, and no, you have a project or a product that you want to bring to life. You just created a scenario of where this product can be essential. This scenario that you created is an example of use cases. And use cases are like, okay, the statistics that was carried out 4 years ago, and because of the statistics that was carried out, you decided to create a solution from the problem that statistics recognized, which is data and information. This is what we call use cases. Now, components of use cases. A typical use case consists of several components. We have the actors, which are like the users, the external systems. Then we have the preconditions, conditions that must be met before the use case can be initiated. This sets the stage for interaction. Then we have the post condition, the state of the system after the use of the case has been executed, and then we have the main flow, the primary sequence of step and that describes the interaction between the actor and the system to achieve the goal. This is often represented by a step-by-step format. Lastly, we have the alternate flow. This outlines variations of expectations to the main flow, capturing alternative scenarios that may occur during the interaction. Now, after use cases, we have use stories. User stories are concise information, informal descriptions of a feature or functionality from the perspective of the user who desire it. They are typically written in a simple format that captures the essence of the requirements without diving into extensive details. A common format of written user story is a I want so that as a type user, I want an action or feature so that a benefit or value. For example, as a customer, I want to receive email notifications for other updates, or so that I can stay informed about my purchase status. This is a user story. For use cases, it was different. For use cases, it will be more like, okay, so we found out a problem where if people pay with their card, they have to they are being charged more than this, or they cannot make transfer to certain regions, or they can't do this, they can't do that. And because of this, you created a functionality, you created a product. Now, that is a use case. The first one again, the user story would be, okay, I want to receive this from this app when I do this, or I want to be able to do this from the comfort of my home. I want to do this from the comfort of my bed. I don't want to be able to have to, sorry, I don't want to be required to go to a particular place to get this done when I can just do it here and here and here online. These are user stories, because this time around the customer is the one that is initiating the conversation. The benefits of user stories: simplicity and clarity. User stories are straightforward to understand, making them accessible to all stakeholders, including non-technical team members. Exactly. So for use cases, there are some scenarios that are like, oh, we need to get this, and that. It might be too technical, even for people that are not tech inclined to understand. But for user stories, it's very simple. It is something that a customer wants to incorporate in their business organizations, personal life too. And then they might not really necessarily need so much information to convey what exactly they want. So they focus on user value by framing requirements in terms of user needs and benefits. User service prioritize what is most important and be from the user's end. Encourages collaboration, and also it is flexible. Now comparing use cases and user stories. While both use cases and user stories serve to capture functional requirements, they differ in their approach and level of detail. So we have level of detail, um, we have level of details, we have, sorry, just a minute. So we have level of detail, we have focus, format, and we have uses. For use cases, the level of details is more detailed and structural. For user cases, it's concise and informal. For focus, use cases describes interactions and workflows, while user stories emphasize user needs and benefits. For formats, formal documentation with multiple components, that's what use cases does, while user stories is a simple sentence in a very specific format. While for users, use cases are used for they are suitable for complex systems and detailed analysis, while user stories are ideal for agile environments and interactive development. So we have BMPN. BMPN, or Business Process Modeling and Notation. That's in full. That's the full meaning of BPN. BPMN. BPMN, or Business Process Model and Notation, is a standardized graphical notation used for modeling business processes. It serves as a universal language that facilitates communication among various stakeholders involved in business process management. This analysis, or technical developers and business managers, this involves analytics, technical developers, and business managers. Here's a detailed explanation of the key concepts. BMPN is recognized as the global standard for business process model. It was developed by the Object Management Group (OMG) and has evolved through various revisions, with the BPMN 2.0 being the current version. This standardization requires the BPMN diagrams can be easily shared and understood across different organizations and tools, fostering collaboration and clear process management. Graphical notations. MN provides a flowchart-like graphical notation that is intuitive and describes its both technical and non-technical stakeholders. The visual representation allows users to depict the sequence of activities, decisions, interaction, and business process. This includes flow objects. These are the main components of BPMN. They include events represented by circle activities, rounded rectangles, and gateway diagrams. Connecting objects. An arrow connects this flow object to indicate the sequence and the flow of the process. Then we have the end-to-end process flow. The BPMN diagram depicts the complete end-to-end of business processing, detailing every step from initiation to completion. This comprehensive view helps stakeholders understand how processes work in their entirety and identify areas for improvement. End of process flow, end-to-end process flow. Capturing as in and to be processed. The BPMN is particularly useful for capturing the both current and future processes. Current process which is represented as is, and future process which is represented as to be. As is process, this diagram illustrates the existing state of the business process, allowing organizations to understand their current situation. While to be process, the diagram represents the desired future state of the process or the organization after improvements has been made. Data modeling basics. Now, data modeling is a fundamental aspect of system analysis, particularly in the context of business analysis. It involves creating a structured representation of data within an information system. Here's a detailed breakdown of key points related to data modeling. What's data modeling? Data modeling is the process, I've already defined that process of connecting, sorting, and processing information within a system. This involves creating data model that serves as a blueprint for database and encourages the data is recognized in a way that meets the business requirements. Formal techniques. Data modeling employs formal techniques to create a data model. These techniques include the use of standard notations and methodologies, to ensure consistency and clarity. Common methodologies include the Entity Relationship Diagram (ERD), visual representation of entities and their relationships. Unified Modeling Language (UML), a standard modeling language that includes various diagrams types for different aspects of the system. Process of data modeling. The primary process of data modeling is to document and communicate complex system information. This is achieved through diagrams, text description, etc. For diagrams, visual representation, for text description contains explanation of data elements. Then normalization. Normalization is the process of organizing data to minimize redundance and dependence. It involves dividing a database into smaller tables and defining relationship between them. This helps in ensuring data integrity and efficient data management. The process of specifying and modeling requirements is critical in business analysis for several reasons. One, it helps transform raw information. It also gives clear definition of business needs. Diverse modeling techniques and foundation, and also creates foundation for development, and also creates what foundation for development. Analyzing requirements and business process module. I hope it's something that we have been able to understand with the class today. If you have any questions, you can always leave them in the comment section, and there will be somebody always available to answer. Do not forget to submit your assignment by the end of the week on our channels on Discord, and I would be available to also answer. On that note, let's all have a wonderful week, and yeah, bye guys.